Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with my celebrity co-host from the new podcast, Change the Narrative, the one, the only, Miss Marion Rivera. What's up, baby girl?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm doing great. New podcast premiering this fall. Tell me
Yes.
about it.
Let's talk about my podcast a little bit. It's called Change the Narrative. We will be talking about all kinds of different topics, mental health, fitness, you name it. We're going to talk about it. We want to inspire people, ignite their voice, give them something to refuel their purpose on.
Mm-hmm.
And but we're going to have fun doing it at the same time. It's not going to be all just serious stuff.
I see a little Puerto Rican accent going on.
Uh-huh.
See.
De veras, yeah.
What was that?
De veras que sí? Yeah.
Okay, what about... We're going to have some mofongo for lunch, right?
Yeah, some shrimp mofongo. Yeah.
So let's just talk about today's guest on the show, and congratulations on your new podcast premiering this fall. But I like the name Change the Narrative. So let's bring a little bit of that change to the narrative to our guest today. Imagine losing your husband. Imagine trying to reconstruct life in general. Imagine that. And being a woman, you're a single mother of 4 daughters.
Yes, I am.
I know what it's like to be a father of a young girl who's now an adult. I know some of the struggles, but to lose your life partner, that's a difficult ball game, all by itself. Today on the show, we have a young lady who's definitely has overcome a lot. A pillar to her community, a pillar to her family, and a friend to everyone. She's coming out. She's already launched a new book, Life After Divorce. Delicious chocolate from the company called Chocolate Delights. You ate all the cookies that she sent. So I'll be asking for some more of those later. She don't want what's over there on that table. They're gone. Without further ado, let's welcome to the Andre The Beast Crayton Show, Frema Kennedy. What's going on, baby girl?
Hello, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Before we get started, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are, Miss Kennedy.
Okay, well, I'm Frema Kennedy. Some people know me as Miss Let's Sip and Talk. I have a book out called Life After Divorce. I decided to do that once I kind of strayed away from doing other things in the community. I wasn't fulfilled. So I was like, another way I can give back is by sharing my journey. So it's a self-help book, actually. And then in addition to that, we do have Chocolate Delight. A good friend and I started that company up because we wanted gourmet sweet treats. So we specialize in all kind of from chocolate covered strawberries to different flavored cookies. We have 10 flavors out now. And our website, is launched. So you're welcome to order. We deliver all over. So yeah, that's a little about me. I got my hands a little bit in everything. Single mom, divorced. My ex-husband recently passed. So I'm just a lot going on right now.
So it's the book Life After Divorce and the loss of your husband. How did all that transpire for you? I know it's going to probably be painful, but how did all that even take place?
Well, actually, I started writing before he actually passed, so it made me kind of skeptical, as if should I continue this journey, because I was sharing real life scenarios, right? So I kind of questioned if I should have continued with writing the book, because I was sharing things about my life, which includes him. But once he passed, I felt, this is just something for me to continue to go on, because maybe I can dedicate, the books to him or something along those lines. But it was a struggle to even get through it, being that I didn't launch it until after he passed. I didn't know if I wanted to continue, but I would start writing before he actually passed away. So it was a struggle, honestly. I
What
actually
was
submitted, have part 2 out as well now.
what
So
was the
it's like
struggle?
a series type thing.
What was the struggle part? Because when he was alive and then unalive, so I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure when you're talking about the unalive part of the book, you're talking about the good, the bad, and ugly of a relationship. Let's get real. All relationships are not good, and my hats
Absolutely.
off to you for being so transparent with a book such as that. But
Yeah.
when you lose somebody during this phase, it has to be difficult because now you probably have what is called survival remorse, that you probably go back and ask yourself, should I have been so transparent? Or maybe you question a little bit of the transparency because
Right.
you wanted to protect your safe zone. You know what I mean? You don't want everybody knowing every skeleton in the closet, but still you want to be
Right.
transparent at the same time. So just take me down the first part of the book, the good, the
Mhm.
bad, and the ugly, and then how did that change once the unaliving took place? How do you go back and write and not have survival remorse for something that you may
Right.
have put in the book?
And that's exactly what I struggled with. It was like, oh my goodness, am I being too transparent? Because there were infidelities in the marriage. There were times that in the book, I shared how I felt, with some of his behaviors. So all this was written prior to. So when he did pass, it made me feel like maybe I am sharing too much. And then I caught myself worrying about how people would view me
Right.
sharing that after he's already gone. But again, in order for me to help someone, I have to be transparent. I have to get through those hard patches and share my real reality. In order for it to be a self-help book, I had to keep it real with myself and real with everyone else. So it was a struggle to put it out there, but I was able to get through it, knowing that I will be helping other individuals out there that's probably I could help prevent them from making the same mistakes that I made and look at things differently. I'm big
Like
on perception and how you
what
view
was
things.
what were some of the mistakes that you made? Like how old were you when you got
Okay.
married? How were you young? Were you old? Did you see
I was
red
young.
flags at a time? Like what were some of the let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase this. I've never been married, but
Okay.
I have
Neither have I.
okay, so you probably understand what I'm about to say. We don't always see the red flags in situations. How old were you when you got married? How did you meet? And what were some of the things that was so out of the book? What are
hmm
some things that you see repetitively happening with other people that they're now sharing with you on social media?
Okay. So him and I kind of grew up together. He was 17 and I was 19. The first red flag was he lied about his age. Of course, we're young. So I felt like, okay, as I was 19, he was 17. I don't know if I said that right, but he told me he was 19 as well. And I didn't learn that until maybe a year or so into the relationship. And then we got married. Let's say I was 22 when we got married. So we were still very young and went into a relationship. Some of the things were, we started out, as they say, quote unquote, Bonnie and Clyde, always together, right? Until children became involved. Now I'm solely the parent and he's still able to go. So that's some things that kind of transpired, but it became overwhelming because it was constantly going, 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 going. And I
Mm,
accepted that the beginning of the marriage, throughout the marriage. So now when people reach out to me, some of the things I try to share and what I notice is just because you get married does not mean that stuff will stop. So if you see it already transpiring in the beginning, try to work through it or just don't get married if you know that's going to eventually be a deal breaker.
mm,
So that's something I did not do. I seen the red flags, and instead of me maybe walking away or trying to work through it, I did this tit for tat. Again, I was young. So he would go out every day, every night. I would make myself go, and it was just it became very draining. And then now it's not just that was going on. Now we got financial struggles. Now one is stepping out in the marriage. And it just became a lot. It just became a lot to deal with. So I definitely seen red flags. But then again, one of the excuses, we were young, which shouldn't be an excuse, but we were young.
You mentioned kids. I mean,
Mhm.
when does the kids get taken in consideration? Because you're young, and when you're young, let's get real. You don't really have parenting skills. Let's get real. You don't have
Right.
parenting skills.
Right.
So did the kids suffer? How many kids did you have? Did the kids suffer from this
We
lack of maturity?
we have 3 children together, and they did suffer. And being completely honest, I didn't learn that they actually suffered until I'm gonna say last year. And the
Wow.
reason that is, my oldest, he's 20, he'll be 21 in August. And he moved away. He's living in Georgia now, him and his girlfriend. So now we really have these adult conversations. And he would tell me how he felt it wasn't fair that he had to raise his siblings. I had my kids back to back, so right now, my middle son is 17, my daughter's 16. Well, actually, he just turned 18, but that's how close they are. And then my
Mhm.
oldest is 20; he'll be 21 in August. So he came and he was like, "Mom, I didn't feel it was fair that I used to have to watch my siblings." And I'm like, "Kylie, I would never make you do anything like that. You were young yourself." And he was like, "But Mom, when you would leave, I'm there with the kids." So I was like, oh my goodness, this whole time I never knew that my tit for tat by me leaving, because my
Mhm.
husband's just getting home 6 o'clock in the morning. So now I'm packing a bag to go stay to my friend's house all day. He's leaving too. I never knew this,
Mhm.
until my son and I start having these adult conversations. So I didn't realize they were suffering until, like I said, present day,
Mhm.
from not just my behavior but their dad's behavior as well. So yeah, they did suffer.
What about your other kids? I mean, that's really.
Um,
I see that
I
happen to a lot of people, but
mhm.
have your other kids came forward with things that they saw and they felt, or they just keeping it locked inside?
um they kind of, my daughter, she hasn't said anything. Now my other son, also in the book I mentioned I was abusive. So he did mention, I never did it in front of the kids. However, they could hear, and they always, I didn't know they thought it was dad hitting me. And that's just stereotypical. You always think it's the man that's fighting the woman, but I had to be honest. No, it was mom fighting dad. Your dad never hit me, but that I know played a part on them and everything as well. So I'm just thankful that they finally brought things up, which maybe I should have.
Mhm.
But I'm glad they brought things up so I could clear it up. So I don't want someone thinking the wrong thing, and then it's me in
You
a sense,
brought
because
up
I wasn't
something.
perfect.
You brought up something that my hats off to you for being transparent here. You brought up the fact that
Hmm.
you was the one being the abuser. You was the one that was doing the
I
hitting,
was.
and
Hmm.
I think people need to hear that, because you're right. It's
Yeah.
always the man. But why did you do it? Did you do it because you were seeking attention? Did you do it for the word? What she say? Because she was young. What were the
Mm-mm.
reasons? Not justifying putting your hands on anybody,
No, not at all.
Right.
but
Right.
but
I
the fact
had this
is, it's a
thing
woman that
of
did
I had this thing of, I don't like to be ignored per se. So he was one that was able to brush things off, walk off, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I need to do more. Maybe that does go to kind of attention then, because it's like he wasn't giving me what I needed. You're ignoring me. You're acting like this is not serious. So it just made me want to lash out and hit and all that stuff. And actually, I don't even know if that's true. The only reason I say that is because I've, I've been fighting since I was in high school. Like, my high school sweetheart mom would have to call my mama about it, or I'll get suspended for fighting my boyfriend. So I don't know where that came from. I asked my sister,
Wait a minute
like,
now.
why am I this way?
Hold down, hold down. You open up Pandora's box. You might miss your lunch now, dog.
Might have to do
You
a
might
part
miss
two.
you might miss your lunch now. So what was it like? And the only reason why I'm saying this, these behaviors, and we just had a guest on the show, we talked about this. These behaviors come from what we see in our household. Your first lessons of growing up starts in the household. So what was it like in your household? Was your mom and your dad arguing? Was there detachment between them two?
I have. And that's what I asked my sister, like, where did this behavior come from? Because I never seen it. My mom and my dad divorced when I was 3. So I vaguely remember anything, but she did say that my mom did used to lash out on my dad, argue and stuff. So I probably seen it and just kind of blocked it out at such a young age, but it had to come from somewhere. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, you got a question?
No, I was just gonna say the part where you said where your oldest felt expressed to you and said, "Mom, I felt like I was in charge of the other kids. I felt like I was in a position to take care of them." I can relate to that. I'm a single mom of 4 daughters. My oldest daughter just recently, she's 25, was talking to my 16-year-old and letting her know just in conversation how she felt isolated in her childhood. 3 of my kids are from one person, and then my oldest daughter's from a previous relationship. So when my 16-year-old said that to me, it kind of stopped me right in my tracks. And I didn't realize that she felt that way, or I guess I wasn't really paying attention to how she was feeling, maybe as she was growing up, because there were so many kids in the household. But I wanted to say thank you for saying that. As soon as you said that, I immediately thought of my oldest daughter.
So what do you do now? What do you do now? Because your son has shared with you feelings, so that means the other kids, whether they come to you or not, there's some
I
emotional.
don't know. I'm not, honestly, I just don't know. It's so much going on right now, with my kids, well, with my middle son, mentally, I don't know if I have the mental capacity to actually have that conversation yet. I will. I
Mhm.
just don't know when I'm gonna be able to do it. Being that we're battling so much other stuff right now. Like, I'll give you just an example. My daughter, my son was a senior. He just graduated May 24th. My daughter was being bullied, picked on, or whatever, by 2 boys. And as I'm not going to say any mom, but I do know majority of parents would say, hey, because they go to the same schools. Hey, son, you know what you have to do. Not thinking about the repercussions, the consequences, the things that you're going to lose in reacting this way. So one thing we learned from it, and I'll go back to what it was. One thing we learned is don't be impulsive, right? We have to take a step back and think, regardless of whatever the situation is. But I immediately told him, come on, T, your sister's being bullied by 2 boys. You know what you have to do. And in turn, that made him lose his senior trip that was already paid for. That made him not walk. They expelled him, but they did let him graduate school. So in addition to that happening in May, then, like, their father died in April. He made another bad decision. I'm not gonna say another. He made a bad decision later on in May that I just actually got a call at 11:50 before it was time for me to come on. I actually have to go get an attorney for him. So now it's like, mentally, I'm not prepared to hear anything else. So I don't know when I would have that conversation or ask them, just to clarify things. I'm just not ready yet. I can't
I
do
was
it.
getting ready to ask you, how was your mental health? Because your husband just recently passed.
Yeah.
You're starting a company. You got a company. You got to finish the book. Your children are now becoming transparent. Where's in other words, you can't be mentally helping anyone if you're crashing. Does that make sense?
But
So
see,
what
I
do you
don't know.
do
I
yourself?
always been the one. I always been the one. Like, my friends say I'm the strong friend. I don't know how I get that title, but I think I may internalize things. However, I always take time for me. Like, I'm very selfish in a way, and I've been called selfish, but that's the way I get through things. If Frema needs time off, she's taking time off. If Frema can't help you, it's a no, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. So I think that's how I get through a lot of things, because I take time for myself. Whether it's as soon as I get home from work, if I cook, I'm in my room, just D&D on the phone, I'm taking mental notes and put my life back in order. Mentally, I think I'm fine. I just know I can't take on too much more, so I'd rather not put myself in that situation yet.
Mhm.
So I would say I'm okay, and I can help others because I am very transparent, and I want people to learn from me, and I want to give feedback, and I want to share my story so I can help the next person. Because again, I was not perfect, and I still don't do things perfect, but I think I give pretty good advice and feedback because of my transparency.
What part of the book are you getting what part of the book are you getting the most response from on social media that people are reading? Like, what part of the book is it? Is it the first part of your journey? Is it the second? Is it the third? Is it the infidelity? Is it the raising of the children? Is it I'm too young? What part of the book is resonating the most with people that you thought would not even resonate with them, but it's almost what's the word I want to use? Almost going viral, so to speak.
Well, I do know one of my friends. She lives in Tennessee. She was taken back because of just the part of me reflecting, right? So it takes someone to actually look in themselves and not always point the finger. So I think that is what is getting the buzz going of how the now me would have said, well, I could have did this differently. Like for an example, it was infidelity on his behalf at first, but instead of saying, like we need to separate, get out, or whatever, I could have asked more questions. Well, am I holding off on sex? I don't know if we can say that on here, but am I not doing something on my part? Am I, like I could have asked myself more questions. I could have talked to him in a more adult manner rather than just blaming a finger, because it had to be a reason. Some people just cheat to cheat. But 9 times out of 10 you cheat because you're missing something. So I could have, asked a little more questions. And that's what I talk about. That's what I put in the book. And that's what's getting the most buzz, is how I actually reflect on now what I could have did differently. Because it takes two in a relationship. So we can't just always point the finger on one person. Unless this is just we can. But I put
Did you
myself
ask
in the situation, and I reflected back on it.
did you ask that question to him prior to his passing?
Mm. I didn't ask that question, but we were able to talk about. He would always mention how I never wanted to go anywhere with him. I never wanted to do things with him. And the type of person I was, I don't like to hurt people's feelings. So I just kind of, you think what you want to think. I'm not going to tell you the truth because I don't want to hurt your feelings. But as I got older, it was like he brought it up, and I said, because I had to pay for everything. Like, you would get dressed, and he'll say you get dressed up and go with your friends. But when I ask you to go, why would I want to always go somewhere with you, and I'm always got to put the bill?
Three.
So yeah.
So my question here is, you recognize so much stuff is going on and mentally draining at this particular point. Your middle son is going through some stuff, and we don't have to get into that. Your oldest son is now revealing his displeased with growing up and so forth. You lost the passing of your husband. How do you regroup? How do you now keep your mental state where it needs to be? Because let's call it like it is. You've been known as The Rock.
Yeah.
With everybody you know. And
Mm-hmm.
let me finish this so this makes sense. Even Superman has a weakness. It's called kryptonite. Eventually you're going to have to either recognize that you might need to, let's call it what it is. You might have to get checked yourself to make sure you can continue to help other people. Have you even thought about that? To be even more powerful in view of your book. What do you think about that?
I never thought about it, actually. I don't know. I just keep it moving. I just keep going. I still have to keep going though. I can't stop.
What do you think?
There's no room to stop. I got a daughter. I got my two boys that's growing up. I have to keep going.
Yeah, but how do you keep yourself?
Listen, one thing I learned
What's
One
that?
thing I learned is that I never felt I dealt with depression. I never felt I dealt with any of that mental stuff, right? Until one day I was reading something about, I think it's called silent depression. I'm not sure. And they
Mhm.
said, like you'll cry in the shower or you'll cry, you don't let people see you do it. And I'm like, holy crap, this whole time, this is what I've been doing, because I don't allow people to see me in that vulnerability. I'll do it in the shower. Like when my ex-husband passed, I actually was in New Orleans living my life up. So when I got the call, I couldn't register it.
Mhm.
But when I got back, um, I didn't let my kids see me hurt, and that bothered them. Again, my oldest is vocal now, so he was like, "Mom, you act like you don't care. You act like." And I'm thinking like I care. I just feel like I have to be strong for you guys because if I'm crying and carrying on, how good am I to you guys? Y'all need to be able to let it out. I got to be able to hug you. Y'all got to be on my shoulder. So I cry in the shower.
But
I
that's
didn't
what
know
I
that was a problem until I read that.
that's what I mean. And you just validated exactly what I just was sharing with you.
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to take accountability
Yeah,
to register that is a problem? You can't carry the world on your shoulder and hide in the shower
that is a problem.
and cry because now what you consider n- not a real issue, so to speak, your kids do see as an issue because now they're already labeling you as
Absolutely
emotionally unconcerned, so to speak.
unavailable.
Right.
Yeah,
What are you planning to do?
nonchalant. I get that a lot.
What are you prepared to do about that? Because now people are bringing all this to your attention. This is another piece of luggage that you're gonna have to deal with
Right,
yourself to be even more better going into your second book.
right. That's very true. I have no answer to that right now. I'm not prepared to do anything about it at this moment. And I know it sounds like wow, but I'm just at this moment, I don't know how I would address it, how I would change it, aside from getting therapy. But as of right now, I honestly don't have an answer.
You're getting ready to launch, to get ready to start focusing on part two of this book, this journey, this teaching course.
Hmm.
What are some of the key issues before we wrap up that you're going to be focusing on with the next part of this teaching course, the book Life After Divorce?
Because I went kind of back in the beginning of the marriage, the next one is focusing on having things in order. Because I was not financially stable within my marriage. So I need people to understand, regardless, and some people may take this and some people may not, but regardless of being married or not, as an individual, you still have to be stable. And I just feel like a lot of us, we shouldn't think that way in a marriage, but you never know what the future holds. So that's what I'm focusing on in part two is making sure that you love you, not just finances, but everywhere around, that you have your life in order as well. So that's what part two is about.
Let's talk about the business real quick.
Hmm.
The chocolate delights.
Hmm.
Was there a sense of urgency for you when creating this business? Because you mentioned something earlier. You mentioned the reason you didn't go out and do things because you had to pay for everything.
Hmm.
Was the need to be financially stable the reason for creating your business so you don't have to worry about depending on nobody, or what was the whole perception with creating this and why?
What well with chocolate and then when I mentioned before about not going, that was years that that was like 20 years ago. But
Okay.
with this business, it's just that because, like I said, it's a friend and I, and she always bakes, she always cooks, and I always was more on the marketing and promotional side. So honestly, we were just kind of talking one day, and I'm like, "Girl, your stuff is so great," and she's like, "And you do great at this," and we just decided to do it. We honestly didn't sit down and say. We didn't plan it out for months. It was just something we felt at that moment that needed to be done. And we've been doing it ever since, from pop-up shops, from getting a website created. And it's been 2 years now. So it wasn't a sense of urgency. It's just something I seen at the moment, and we just kind of went with it.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about
We
it now?
balance each other
Because
out.
how do you feel about everything now? You got a book, you rebranded it, so to speak, into more of an educational piece. You got congratulations, year 2 with your chocolate delights business. I mean, what's the purpose now for you? What's the purpose? Everything is happening so quickly. I know that's a big hypothesis to
Yeah.
answer at a particular point, but what do you think your purpose is right now? You're creating people are becoming more transparent with you in your life. What's your purpose at this point?
I think my purpose at this point is just to continue to be transparent, to put myself out there, whether it's Chocolate Delight helping people come towards my book or vice versa. So I think I have a way of making everything just work hand in hand. So I think my purpose is going to always lead back to me putting something out there for the people. That's just always been me, even in my previous career. I was a mission coordinator. I was always giving back. And that's just something I feel like that's what I'm here for.
And I'm sorry for the loss of your husband, but my question is, if our wrap up is pretty deep. Like, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Nothing. That's why a lot of people call me weird. I'm gonna be honest. I live life with no regrets. And that goes back to when I say people say I'm selfish, because Frema's gonna do what Frema wants to do, what she feels she needs to do.
Mhm.
I live life with no regrets. Everything I've done, I'm not gonna say, oh my God, I'll never beat myself about any decisions I made. Um, I wouldn't do anything different, because I'm big on, you got to find a positive out of every negative situation. I don't care what it is. And that's something even with my children, with how I'm gonna say I raised them, or how we raised them. We're gonna find a positive out of this. You're gonna know, hey, okay, I know I got to do better at raising my children now. Like, for an example, my son mentioned with him and his girlfriend, she's like, one thing, and it may sound minor to some people, but he said, one thing we're going to get is a nice kitchen table, because we never sat down as a family and ate. So now that makes him say, you know what? That's something I want to do. He said, Mom, she's molded me into becoming a father and a great husband. Hey, she's brought in your life for a reason. We didn't provide that sitting as a family. That's something he want to do. So guess what? He learned from that negative situation of not having that with us. He want to do that now. So I'm always big on, whatever decisions you made, you got to find something positive out of it. I wouldn't change anything.
Thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show and share such a powerful story of that beast mindset. How can the viewers reach out to you? How can they get the book? And we're definitely going to have you come back when you launch book 2. So how can the viewers reach out to you, find you on your website and so forth?
Chocolate Delight is www.chocolatedelight.org. Again, I'm known as Miss Let's Sip and Talk. That's on every platform, or Let's Sip and Talk with Frema. So, actually, if they just Google me, Alan did such a great job branding me in the beginning. So I'm everywhere. So if they just put in Frema Kennedy, they can find me. I'm on every platform.
Isn't Alan amazing?
He knows everybody.
Yeah.
In every
He
state.
is. He is.
He's like, yeah.
I'm gonna start calling him Mr. Communicator.
Yeah. Mr. Branding. Mr.
Yeah. Like every time we turn around,
Alan is great.
Alan
What's the common thread with all these guests?
Yeah. Alan. Every time you turn around.
Yep. Alan does great.
Okay. With that said, let's wrap this up with saying congratulations to you for your new podcast getting ready to air this fall. What's the name of the show again?
Change the Name. I wanted to mention to you, Frema, hats off to you. I relate to you on a lot of levels, and it looks like you're actually changing the narrative in your life. So keep doing it, and
absolutely,
you're getting kicking ass. Just so you know, you're kicking ass.
With that said,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the what?
Andre the Beast Crayton
Mm.
show.